One of the most famous Reddit threads in CSGO ever is Astralis aims low, here's why. And the players denied it and said that's not what they do. But recently, there's a thread calling Zont1x a body shot merchant and saying he aims low as well. And there's a Thorn clip saying people that think that don't know the game, he's just not a great aimer, he would shoot them in the head if he could. Which I agree with, however, he did say in a vlog he specifically aims for the body, and the reality might be that he's not that great of an aimer, and that's why he aims for the body. Watching his game, it is sometimes unreasonable how low this guy aims. I do not believe in a lot of situations he's aiming for the head. Now, that's not to say he just aims for the body. I want to be very clear on that. He doesn't only aim for the body. There's lots of situations where he's aiming for the head. He's got something like a 35% headshot percentage, which is, by the way, lower than most oppers. But in a ton of situations, ones where the vast majority of players would be aiming for the body or aiming for the head, he's aiming for the body. And I noticed 4 or 5 of those in this game in the first 5 rounds when I went in to look at it, and that's why I was so surprised. So initially, aiming for the head. All these angles he's aiming at right now, these are not head level. I just want to make this very clear. You have to be aiming for the head here. He's only going to be showing the head. This isn't head level, but this is a specific angle. A lot of people aim a bit lower on this angle because you can spam them through the wood pillar, and just in general, it's an awkward angle. Okay, from cave, you can see where Alexa V is. That's, you know, upper chest level. So you could argue, there are players that will tell you that you should aim at the neck and let the crosshair, let the recoil move your shot up to their head. I think Forrest said that. I can't remember exactly who. There's been a lot of players that have said that. Now, other players will aim for the head and pull down. Both are reasonable, right? But he's just aiming stupidly low. This is not like neck level. To me, a lot of this doesn't look like neck level. And I know what you're thinking, Vu. It's just one round. You know, you're not perfect on every angle. Maybe he's thinking the guy's going to peek from the back instead of the front. There's actually lots of reasons to aim lower than necessarily the exact head level of exactly where you think is most likely for someone to peek from. And one of them is someone might peek on the back wall and they might crouch or whatever. Here, he's going to be aiming for the head. He's aiming high. He's aiming head level. The player's peeking out. Here, he's not aiming for the head. I want you to notice he's not aiming for the head now. He's aiming for the head, aiming for the head. He adjusts down, dude. My guy adjusts down. Now he's aiming way low. Nobody thinks this is head level. This is very clearly not head level. Nobody thinks this. It's not like he thinks this is head level and he's just like not got it right. It's just not, he's just aiming low. Now, this is a specific case because Donk has already shot at this player and he's shot at him through the box, right? But here, late round, you could definitely make an argument, right? You could make an argument because he thinks the guy might be lit. There's a lot more reason that you could be aiming low. And I want to give you some ideas of why he might be aiming low in certain situations and why that's valuable. Outside of just, guys, go in your game. Don't shoot him in the head, lol. Don't shoot him in the head. I want to give some better ideas than that. But one of the reasons would be late round, your opponent's injured or you suspect they might be injured. Maybe you thought Donk did some damage to him, right? Now, if you're fighting against pistols, which is what he's fighting against here, aiming low is generally just going to be a good idea. Of course, you can hit them in the head. But if they don't have armor, if you just aim punch them, you're feeling pretty good. And I think that's the idea, is that if you do what is common now, everyone seems to be trying to replicate this donk slide where you make yourself, you're constantly crouching and uncrouching, you're moving left and right. The ability for people to headshot has gone down drastically recently. Like people are just using their movement in such an insanely effective way that it is in fact hard to hit headshots as consistently as you could in the past. And so basically just saying, well, screw that then. I'm going to just shoot him in the body, especially fighting against pistols when you're going to be aim punching them. Not always a bad idea, especially if you're looking close range where you're going to be able to finish them off. You know, it takes a surprisingly few low number of bullets to actually finish someone off if they don't have armor. It's like 4 shots, right? As long as you hit them, you're going to kill them. The reason I made this video, because generally I don't buy into this, but he's aiming kind of like comically low in a lot of these. Like, you can't mistake this as aiming at chest level and waiting for the pull-up. A lot of these, he's aiming like leg level. He's aiming dummy low. Okay, here, if a player peeks on the back wall, they're actually very low. So I'm not sure he's aiming too low there. When it's like pre-fire maps and he's pre-aiming angles where players are gonna be, he is generally aiming relatively high. Like, these types of pre-aims are normal. And here's the thing. The way I think Zont1x looks at this is that if you're peeking into someone, it's easy to hit them in the head because they're standing still. But if they're peeking into you, it's very hard to hit them in the head because they're moving. And a lot of people get caught up on trying to be too perfect with that type of pre-aim, and it seems like if he thinks someone's gonna peek into him, he is actually just going for the body shots because you slow them down and then you finish them off. Whereas it's easy to get kind of caught up and actually have things go really wrong if you're aiming head level and you just miss that first shot. You're just not going to kill them very fast. I mean, again, what is he aiming for here? You can kind of call this angle merging. This is something oppers know a lot. I talked about this in my video on Astralis' aim, whether or not they aim low. Angle merging is the idea that someone might peek you and crouch at the same time, so do like a good crouch peek, or someone might shoulder peek you. And in a lot of those scenarios where both options are very possible, you might want to aim stomach level as an opper. As an opper, because if they crouch peek you, you hit them in the head, and if they shoulder peek you, you hit them in the body. And something oppers really understand. It's not something you usually do as a rifler though, but with how often people are crouching when they peek now, which is like all the fucking time, I can absolutely understand the idea of doing a bit of angle merging a little bit more often as a rifler. I just want to highlight how crazy this has looked to me. To me, it looks like when he's peeking into people, he's aiming mostly head level or close to it. When he's holding an angle, he's aiming pretty low for the most part. And again, he said this in an interview. He literally said this in a Spirit vlog. I'll link it in the description. Why aim for the head? Well, aim for the head because you shoot them and kill them faster in the head. Okay, that's obvious. However, you kill people very fast in the body if you have a good spray, and that's something Donk understands as well. Donk, if he doesn't hit someone in the head, if he doesn't headshot them, which he will often, he will always win the spray duel, right? That's what makes Donk so good. He's not like, oh, I have to hit them. He's not Scream. He's Scream plus the ability to spray, right? Scream plus get right. Peek on JL, he's aiming fairly low there. Is that intentional? I don't know. Again, this is low. If someone comes through that smoke, you're never, unless he peeks close. This is one of the benefits actually, because if Alexi B comes through the back of that smoke, if you're aiming at the head, which is probably a little bit higher, if you're aiming in the head, if he comes through in front, it's a little bit less of an adjustment. So you are kind of angle merging there as well. But dude, this is comically low. It's not just low, this is comically low. Let me show you where a player would be. So if you go in, this is the angle Zont1x is holding, right around here. Okay, so if I just move forward to this wall, and let's say he peeks, you can go deeper. Let's say this is the angle he's probably going to peek at, right? If you're peeking Zont1x, you're probably peeking right about here. Yeah, you're probably about here. Yeah, where is that level? It's below shoulder level. This is not like, this is not normal, you know, this is very low. It's not close, right? Now, if it's a crouch peek, let's say a player's here crouched, hopefully the bot stays crouched, then you're right about his head level. With the way the game's currently being played, I really do think there's an idea that people are almost always crouching when they peek into you. Especially, by the way, the more of an off angle you have, the more you just have to kill them. The more it's just about don't whiff than it is about, you know, hitting the perfect shot. You could argue, you could argue he's kind of angle merging here as well. By the way, 4-3, because, you know, if someone peeks close, peeks back, it could be very different. But there's a ridiculous amount of these examples of this. There's so many situations where he's peeking into people. I'm adding this in later, but I need to show you a comparison to what other players actually look like so it's not confusing. His Axile here is going to take basically the exact same route that we saw Zont1x take heading towards A, right? Except we can compare exactly how different this pre-aim is compared to Zont1x. And it's very different. It's crazy different, in fact. And it's not, again, it's not close to their heads. It's lower than neck level. I saw Maui Snake saying it was neck level. I see what he's saying. I think it's lower than neck level. To me, this is like more like mid chest level. This is more like headshot if they're crouched. a lot of these. Again, this is not to say he's only peeking, only aiming at the body. And it's not to say if he was Donk, he'd say, Donk, you should shoot him in the body. It's so much better. I think the idea is maybe his aim isn't as clean as some other players. And so he just says, well, let's just get out of that cycle where I'm just getting headshotted and not headshotting them back, and let's just shoot him in the body instead. Just to be clear, by the way, I don't want to make it seem like players are perfect, especially in positions like this, where there's a lot of variance in the terrain, just it's kind of higher on one side, lower on the other. Just in general, you're going to have players that aren't trying to aim for the head that end up hitting, or aim for the body rather, end up hitting them in the body or going for a body peek, right? Donk is not at all a body shot merchant. He's not a body shot player, but that's a peek there where he's aiming at Alexi B's body. Is that intentional? No. It's just a complicated angle, and you're not always perfect, and they're not always at the position that you're expecting with the elevation changes. That's very different than, I just think with Zont1x, it's like egregious in that it's so consistent where he's aiming. Have you ever seen someone that looks like they're aiming for Shaquille O'Neal? Like the person that's peeking them is like 7 feet tall. I've seen that from Donk a few times. You don't see that with Zont1x. He's always aiming a bit low, on the lower side. Okay, this is Magic's clearing the angle, the same angle that we're gonna see Zont1x clear in a second. So he's peeking out here. Look where he's aiming. This is a bit on the high side, admittedly. You'll see most players, I think, aim a little bit lower than Magic's there. Here's Zont1x, pre-aiming the same thing. Now he's further back here, so it does actually matter. Is this a perfect example? No, this is far from a perfect example. Vibes-wise, the vibes of this angle hold is definitely lower. The vibes, I'm saying it's far from perfect because they're not actually in the exact same position, and it makes sense for Zont1x to absolutely be holding that, aiming slightly lower, just in general. Magic's in the same position would be aiming slightly lower than he was in the other spot as well. I'll find a perfect example of this, don't worry. I'll put it in later in the video. I'm gonna tell you, man, vibes-wise, he's aiming stupid low. Hold on, this is perfect. Oh, this is perfect, flawless. I'm gonna overlay. Look at Donk. He sees Zont1x and he's like, yes, my aim is on Zont1x's head. Here's where Zont1x is aiming. Almost the exact same position. Almost the exact same position. He's crouched. He stands up. He's standing up. He's standing up now. Okay, crouching, sometimes you might angle merge a little bit. Let me show you what this looks like with a player. Okay, why am I on the wall? God, fuck. I hate when this happens. We're just gonna have to, I'm gonna put this bot here. We're just gonna have to overlay it. That's where a bot would be peeking. Here's where, basically where Zont1x is aiming. Here's where Donk's aiming. So if you guys remember the Astralis video, or if you saw the thread or anything like that, basically the explanation for the Astralis thing is that they did a lot of angle merging, and they did a lot of things that are just smart. If you're expecting a player to run through a smoke, if you're holding a smoke, aiming low makes a lot of sense because you tag them as they get through the smoke, and then they're going to block their teammates. They're going to see you later. You give yourself an advantage shooting them in the body when they come through a smoke. If they were holding an angle with a Krieg is where I thought that they would often aim for the body, because the Krieg shot so ridiculously fast at that time that you didn't need to shoot them in the head because you would I think you three-shotted them in the stomach. So it was like, why even bother shooting them in the head with this fucking machine gun? It shot like a Negev, dude. I listen back to those games with the Krieg now, and it's like, how did anyone ever think this was balanced? This is the most overpowered thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And they would do a lot of angle merging. And late round, when opponents were injured, they'd be aiming at the body. Those are all very smart times to be aiming at the body in general, even as a headshot player, as a normal player. Whenever Zont1x is holding an angle, it seems to me, even sometimes peeking angles, but more so when he's holding angles, he's aiming for the body. He's legitimately just going body shots. This is, again, fairly standard because the elevation. Anytime there's a lot of elevation, you can't really speak too much to where he's pre-aiming, because he might be thinking, oh, I think a guy's going to peek further back, or I think a guy's going to peek closer. He might be thinking a lot of different things, and you know, you could just sometimes just have it a little bit wrong in those cases. But I want to highlight, by the way, look at how often the player he's shooting at is crouching. This is the key here. Everyone he shoots at crouches every fight. That's what everyone does now. They crouch and uncrouch. That's what everyone does. So when he's aiming at the body, he's hitting them in the head a lot. Here's Alexi B. Peek. He's aiming the body. Alexi B crouches into the headshot. Am I high? He crouches into the headshot, right? Oh, he adjusts up. So this is one of those spots where this is a good counter argument, is that he's allowing his recoil to pop up the same way I said earlier. Some players have always done that, but he's, I'm not sure. I'd have to slow that in, zoom more, enhance to really tell if he pulls up too much, because he does let his crosshair, he does let his recoil go up a little bit, but it's still kind of in the same spot when Alexi B does crouch into that. All right, so another standard open. I just want to get to positions where he's like actually peeking. Again, that's headshot there. This is, I don't think that's head level. This is clearly not head. You can see where Magic's is. This is not, guys, it's not close to head level. This one is close. I'm actually interested in this one. I'm gonna check that. Okay, so he's sitting here. This is where he's crouching, I believe. Let's put a CT. Okay, CT peeks out here. Let's put him a tiny bit wider just so we know for sure. Yeah, that's roughly head level if he's peeking on the back wall. If he's peeking on the front wall, then it's going to be a lot. This is what I mean when I say like merging angles. So you can see the difference, right? If the CT peeks on the front wall, he's shooting him in the body, no big deal. He peeks him in the back wall, he's head level. And so you make your life a lot easier in these positions by not like trying to aim too high and being like, well, I need to hit him in the head. This is just something that I think is just a smart play in general. Now, when he's getting closer, it becomes a little bit more awkward, some of the way he's looking. But these might be, you could argue these are like obligation clears, right? Where he does not at all think a player's actually there. He's just checking just so nobody like ninja diffuses or whatever, right? It's like if someone's there, he might not be killing them. Man, hit your nade, Zont1x. Oh my lord. Does he just chunk magics for like 20 damage? Okay, he at least hits that. The couple rounds prior, he just hit Donk with a nade, didn't even blow up in the smoke. Look, if you're a player that can barely even blow up in a smoke with a nade because your nade aim is so bad, then maybe your aim is so bad that you need to be aiming for the body. You know, it's making a lot of sense to me. So aiming at a smoke, everyone aims low. Donk aims low. People just aim low. It's just smart when you're aiming at a smoke, just to be clear. What, is he aiming at the floor? What is this? Why is he aiming at the floor? What are you aiming at? What are you aiming at? What is he aiming at? Is he expecting someone to be like kissing him? Is he like right next to him? I'm thinking, by the way, just okay, guys. I know you guys have already typed your angry comments. Okay, he's just focused on his jiggle. He's just focused on the jiggle where he's trying to draw out a shot from the player in this angle that he does hard clear. Okay, I know you guys are mad about that already. I've already gotten 5 hate comments. So again, I know the reason I want to show all this is because I know there's going to be a lot of people that are sitting here and going, "That's not body level. That's head level." So I want to show what does head level look like. Okay, this is about head level. If someone's being on the back level, that is not head level. This peak when he looks back towards cutout, this is not head level. It's gonna be head level. I say these things and I leave them in the video, by the way. Like when I say this is not head level, I actually don't take that out if it is head level, because I want you guys to understand. Like I want to be fair. So. And I'm just, the reason I'm saying that is because it's not like I'm making these guesses and then running with it, okay? He's aiming here, right? Put a CT here. Let's put a CT on the back wall too. We'll put him a bit wider because back wall, front wall, very different. This is not even close to head level, okay? This is far off from head level. That's what I mean. That's why I'm saying this. It's not like he's just misjudging the angle a little bit. He said it himself. Now, I really want to see what he looks like on CT side. And you're gonna remember that I said that earlier in the video, because I'm gonna say that earlier in the video because that sets up so that people don't just leave when I just go on this huge tangent, right? If you think about it, because then people are gonna be like, I wonder what he does look like on CT side. Because I forgot to mention, I meant to mention, because I am interested. I'm not like trying to scam you. It's not a scam. I'm interested. I want to see what he looks like on CT side. This is so low, dude. It's so low, dude. It's so low. Again, With Astralis, it was tactical, and I recommend watching that Astralis video in that the situations they were aiming low for are situations you should be aiming low no matter what. Those are just smart spots to be aiming low. You angle merge, late round, staring into smoke, they're injured, any of those four. There's other scenarios as well, but those are like keys. Those are key ones to be aiming low. Again, this is fucking low, dude. Now again, there are intricacies. Different players aim higher, different players aim lower. Some people aim for the neck. And the neck can be like, you know, high chest, right? It can be very different. But like, if we look at Pistol Round, his aim isn't terrible. He's probably going to be a top 20 player this year. His headshot aim is fucking good, dude. It's not like he can't shoot people in the head. He gets a 3K on T-Pistol. So that's the 3K. I believe this is going to be a bit of a boring CT half, so I'll probably cut around a little bit. He's aiming at their toes, dude. This is what I'm talking about. It's not close. It's not like you can even argue he's just slightly off from the angle. If he's slightly off, he's fucking, then my mom's a fucking bicycle, okay? If he's slightly off. He's off, like, hilariously. Okay, so he is going to come through the smoke. Again, this is Pistol Round. You're going to have to shoot them in the head most of the time. My recommendation, by the way, is if you ever see someone shooting a deagle at you on Pistol Round, that's I meant to say this when I was talking about fighting people with no armor. If you ever shoot at someone and they have a deagle on Pistol Round, or even a P250 if it's a pug, because nobody drops a P250 for armor in pugs, just shoot them in the body. Deagle especially, nobody's dropping you a fucking deagle. That's just never gonna happen. So if they ever shoot a deagle at you, don't try and headshot a deagle. Don't try and play into his game where he wants to play for the headshot. Shoot him in the fucking body. He's not gonna be able to shoot you back. I have 100% kill rate against deagles on Pistol Rounds when they don't 1-deag me instantly before I even know they have a deagle. As soon as I know they have a deagle, it's over. They may as well just leave the game. They're just gonna get aim punched to death. All right, P250, you're not shooting people in the body either, right? So what it looks like to some extent is that partially some of what I'm thinking about is that Zont1x just looks like he's kind of in his head, where he's like not thinking about crosshair placement. He's thinking about the play he's making, the call that's being made. He's thinking about where the rotations are, all these types of things. So when he's moving around the map, his crosshair is very low because I think he's just not thinking about it until someone could actually peek out on him. And again, by the way, this looks really low. It's not that low. Because of man, Ancient was not the right map for this. I just didn't want to do Dust 2 again, especially because they're not coming. Like, this is low, but it looks like he adjusts up because he's like, oh wait, I have a P250. I got to adjust up slightly. And this is normal. The key here is like, how many times does Zont1x headshot someone? If someone wanted to do the stats, I beg you, do the stats. How many times does Zont1x headshot someone without them crouching? Gun versus gun round. All of the headshots we've seen in this game, and he's got, what is his headshot percentage? His headshot percentage is high, 66% right now. Every headshot he's got, don't quote me on that and tell me I'm wrong, but vibes-wise, the vibes of this is that every headshot he's got, they've crouched into the headshot. Every fucking one. And this one, JL crouches, but he's already got the kill, right? He's already got the kill. So again, this is a situation, he's looking through a smoke, he's looking at a smoke. This is exactly the type of scenario where most people are gonna be aiming low. You can see Donk aiming low as well. This is just how you're gonna hold this, right? For people that are a little less experienced, I think it's easy to see this and think and not quite understand exactly how pro players are playing. Through a smoke, pretty much everyone's gonna be aiming low. After the smoke, this is flat ground. This is flat ground. This is flat ground. I want to say again, this is flat ground. There's only one place his head really could be coming out of. Okay? Really just one place. Look, he headshots him when he crouches. Again! It's every time, dude! How does he not hit him beforehand, though? That's actually genius with the M4, when you know your opponent's crouch every fucking time, because then you're not going headshot, body shot, and wasting bullets in between. It's like body shot, headshot. Bam. How does he not hit him beforehand, though? Oh my god. So if we look at Donk holding the same angle that Zont1x was holding, nobody's crosshair placement is perfect, right? Donk's crosshair does shift around a little bit. It's not in the exact same position at all times, but generally it's at the head level. And when he's static, which he basically never is, which is actually one of the things that makes Donk so good, it is head level. And when the Aurora players peek out, he's going to be aiming at their head. right? He's not going to be aiming into a crouch. In fact, he's aiming arguably above their head. But he doesn't get the headshot kill because he gets the headshot and then finishes him in the body. Yeah, I'm ready to say it. I'm ready. Zont1x Aim's low. He just does. Just straight up. Just in standard scenarios, in positions, in situations where anybody else would be aiming higher, this motherfucker's aiming low.